What was the rating for the show?
840,000. But there was I guess Meltzer reported that there was what do you say here? Like the number wasn't good, but there was let me see.
840,000, which includes 380,000 18 to 49. Dynamite was down 3% in total viewership, up 10% for 18 to 49.
Right.
What was the reason they got that rating?
Hang on. The Dave says like only. Okay, so the AEW. So Dave reported this before the rating came out. So the AEW rating is likely way down because of the Spectrum cable issues. That's 30 million homes with problems, both video and then audio throughout the show. And NHL will. So I guess Spectrum cable, the Spectrum cable system, had issues last night. So it
That's
probably
in the Northeast, right?
Yeah. So, but the show was, honestly, the show was pretty good.
This was the best show they've done in a long time.
Right. So let's go over it. Okay, honestly, I'll be honest. The show. So they started with the Diamond Battle Royal, right? And I don't know who. This is, bro. They do these battle royals with these guys, and bro, there's a lot of indie workers in that ring. That are from the indie, and they just don't really know how to fight. That look like they don't know how to brawl. Like the brawling on this did not look good at all, right? They did a spot. I guess Dalton Castle was in here, and he had the two little young boys out there, and they did a spot where he was like on the apron. He got knocked off the apron, but they caught him and threw him back up. And they were holding him so he didn't touch the floor. And that's creative, right? That's creative and everything. But to me, it was like, I'm watching this and I'm thinking to myself, these guys probably were in the back and were going over this and thought this would look great. I thought it looked so silly. I mean, it just, I don't know. I guess it's an entertaining spot to people, but it was just kind of ridiculous,
I'm not watching as closely as I have in the past, but I'm looking here and it says Kip Sabian was in there. Now he had a big return. He had a big return with a new look about a month or so ago, but they haven't.
Right
now, he's just back to doing nothing.
Well, did you watch the show?
No, I did not get to see the show.
Okay, well, he did. He actually ends up doing something, right?
Okay.
So let me just go over some of this stuff. So Matt Harley was near.
I love the fact that our producer does not watch it.
It's not intentional, Konnan. I just was busy last night. I usually do watch Dynamite, though.
No defense.
No, in his defense, you don't really care what he has to say. So that's
I don't. But it would be nice that chirp in something every now and then, like at least you're watching or interested or invested or something.
No, I usually watch. Well, I missed it this week, dude. I was just busy.
Okay. Well, you can't force Joe to watch the shows. I mean, come on.
No, it's
hard to watch wrestling these days, especially all the shows right now are kind of.
Bro, the guy goes to the shows. What do you mean force?
Yeah, no, he's right. I just sometimes I have time to watch it. Sometimes I don't. It's not intentional. That I'm not skipping it on purpose.
Well, why are you going to pick? You're going to pick on Harry Ruiz for being a big AEW mark, and you're going to pick on Joe for not watching the show.
Well, if Harry wasn't watching the show, I'd bury his lame ass too.
Right. But he did have a good call on the Josh Jacobs touchdown.
He did have a good.
Yes.
Seva.
Good for Harry. That's awesome.
So Matt Hardy was nearly eliminated by Ricky Starks during the break. The Butcher and Sean Dean. Sean Dean was in here. I don't even know who that is. Right? Okay.
It's like a drinker.
Right. They battled in the ropes.
Morgan. But so, bro, here's the thing: when they first came out, and you probably thought the same thing. The first guy that came out was Ricky Starks, right? So you were like, and my wife, who does not watch wrestling, does not like wrestling. The only thing she will stop to watch is if you're on or Rey Mysterio's on. Or the NWO. For some reason, she likes the NWO. Other than that, she could give a fuck.
Right.
And her comment when she saw Ricky Starks was, "This guy's right," and I was like, "That have an androgynous look to him." Yes, you are correct.
I mean, the wrestlers these days do have kind of that, like the perfect, well manicured, Let
me tell you a little backstory on Ricky Starks. So. When we were doing Aero Lucha with those good old boys, the Harris twins,
right?
We did a Texas swing, all right? Mm-hmm. So, of course, we used Texas talent. And that's when your boy Vinny Russo was working with us. And so I was like, The guys that stuck out to me and I thought, wow, I want to work with these guys were in this order: Sammy Guevara, Aaron Solo, and Ricky Starks, who had a team called Best. I don't know if you can look it up, Joe, but it had a cool name, like Main Event or like they had a cool tag team name, right? Mm-hmm. And I thought, wow, these guys have charisma and they could really be somebody. And I was really looking forward to working with Ricky and Aaron and Sammy. And then the other standout from that swing was Thunder Rosa. So I ended up working with Sammy in Mexico, who he's actually our mixed tag champion with his wife, Conti, Mello, whatever. Right. And I lost track of Ricky and the other guy. But anyways, Ricky comes out first, and I'm thinking, cool, who's he going to wrestle? And Jungle Boy comes out. So I'm thinking, this is different, and it's going to be good. Then all of a sudden, for some reason, they trot out Dustin Rhodes, who got a humongous pop. And I was like, okay, this already went downhill real quick. Then when they got to the ring and you saw the J-Brones there, like the Butcher and Dalton Castle and the Castle Boys. And I was like, what is going on here? Another J-Brone Battle Royal where it's all jabronis, you really don't care. And then that's exactly what it was. Right. It was just, and bro, has Dalton used to be like a pretty boy in ROH in good shape. He's got Joey Janela, yeah.
But Joey Janela's in good shape right now. He's
in better shape, yes.
No, he's in very good shape.
Yeah. Well, I saw him in Mexico.
Shape. Yeah.
It says here their tag team was called.
Bro, and you know when what was it called?
Extra Talented.
Extra Talented. I like that name. So, anyways, they had and bro, you know what really breaks my heart every time I see this, and I bet it breaks yours? When I see Brian Cage. How could you miss on somebody that, talented? You know what I'm saying? He looks like a nobody, like a stale, I'm like, oh my God, you have a star in your hands just like Warlord, and you don't even know what to do.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's get back to this. So that's what I was saying, because they had a lot of indie guys in this, and you knew they weren't going to win.
Right.
You knew it was like only 2 or 3 guys who would probably win this thing. But that's fine. A lot of battle.
Why is Ethan bossing Matt Hardy around?
Because the storyline is he's supposed to be part of the faction.
When
they did it one of these cheap backstage interviews that last 1 minute. Right, exactly. So it's like. So they started bossing him around, and Matt Hardy got mad. He was being bossed around, and that was like a thread. Another thread was Cassidy and Kip Sabian had something going on, but the rest of it was just like Jack.
I would have liked when Jack Perry got eliminated by Morrissey, which was kind of weak. I wish.
He didn't get. No, that's the thing. He didn't get eliminated by Morrissey.
Yeah, he eliminated.
No. Morrissey wasn't in the match.
Right.
He was hanging on to the thing trying to get eliminated, and Morrissey kicked him and eliminated him from the match, but not like he eliminated. He caused him to get eliminated, right?
Yeah. Well, that's how I took it, but I thought Luchasaurus should have done that spot.
Well, that's the fact that Luchasaurus, bro. The fact, I mean, you had Lee Moriarty and everything, and I'm thinking like, wow, wouldn't this have been a good spot for Lance Archer?
And don't forget Captain Dean.
Miro, Captain Sean Dean.
What a great name.
I'm like, bro, they had this could have been, you could have more compelling stuff here. Right. I didn't like it.
Is there anything of Captain John Dean that indicates any rank of a captain? Like when you look at him, aren't you thinking corporal?
Yeah, right.
Like private. Yeah.
All right. So basically
okay, finish the Battle Royal review and we'll jump to Billy.
Okay.
No, you can finish Dynamite. I watched it, so it's fine.
Oh yeah, okay.
Oh, we got about 20 minutes.
You can chirp in if you want.
No, you know what? Let's okay. Well, Ricky Starks.
Let's finish it.
Okay, let's finish. So basically, Starks gets Ethan Page puts him on his shoulder, goes and runs to eliminate him, but as they go over, I don't know how.
I like that finish.
But it didn't make a lick. How Page had Starks on his shoulder?
He took his forward momentum and he catapulted him forward. It was
How is that physically possible to do?
They did it. If you can't do it, it wouldn't be physically possible.
It didn't make any logical sense whatsoever.
Maybe not logical, but wrestling sense. It was a wrestling move, bro.
Okay, I know, but I'm just saying.
It wasn't a logical move.
Throwing the guy over.
It was a wrestling move. What's the logic of dropping down and leapfrogging him? There is none. It's a wrestling thing.
I'm just I don't know. I think it was completely illogical.
Oh yeah, it was illogical.
But
It was a wrestling move.
But Ricky Starks win. I get
What
for all the
wrestling
people.
move is logical?
I don't know. But everything in this match, the right guy won. Okay.
Right.
All right. Now we'll go. We'll do Billy now, and then we'll come back to the.
Can I just say something about that?
Go ahead.
Right.
What everybody, it was so these wrestlers, or however this show's booked, obviously there is some preparation done, which you can't knock people for, because it's not. I don't think it's booked on the day. Like we
Right.
know.
Well, for people that don't know, Billy, if you were to walk in, and this is how wrestling's changed. When I first walked into the business, nobody was in the ring. You might have a couple guys that were testing out the ropes. You had guys like Brian Pillman, who were the first guys I ever saw in the United States really go over a match. But nobody else was going over matches when I got to WCW. And I remember going over a match and people making fun of me. Bro, when you go into a show now, they're already going over the match in the car, backstage. Sometimes there'll be matches that are 3 versus 3, and it looks like it's 1-on-1 because two guys are just like the whole time. And then they get into the ring and they do their whole match 2 or 3 times. Then you always have the veterans watching them and going, well, you could change this and make it better. And so by the time you watch the finished product and you can tell who the perpetrators are, that match has been gone over like 15 times.
Maybe that's why they have so many botches.
Well, it's
because they're not. People are not.
And it doesn't look organic because it isn't organic.
Right, exactly. Maybe that's why there's so many botches, because all people are doing is scripting their matches out move for move, and they're not learning how to just feel
work.
like it when you're out the right work, right? So
right.
The Randy Savage thing. But the point I was going to make is that even the creative is obviously mapped out as well. They're not doing rewrites an hour before the show. That's one thing that Tony Khan isn't doing. It's definitely not a good show at the moment. So Ricky Starks and MJF were working the angle for this and going back and forth on Twitter the week before. If your fan base is hardcore, which this fan base is, this is a very internet savvy kind of fan base. Don't do that, because if I'm going to watch a battle royal for 20 minutes and I look at the other people involved and I don't see any real top guys here, and I'm trying to work out, okay, which upper mid-card guy they're going to elevate. I knew Ricky Starks was winning because I knew him and MJF had started this on Twitter this week. I knew it wasn't going to be Jungle Boy or anybody like that. If I didn't see the Twitter stuff, maybe Jungle Boy would have won. But I don't understand why guys do that. Obviously, he was told 2 weeks ahead, week ahead, you're going to be winning. So they started working the stuff on Twitter during the week. Like, it's stupid. It doesn't make any sense to me. There's no surprises on the show anyway. So why are you ruining it?
I didn't know the Twitter thing, so it was news to me. So I wasn't as outraged as you. But I do wonder, in this Diamond Battle Royal thing, why wasn't MJF involved? Why wasn't he defending his ring? Because he's won it like 3 times. I think he said in a promo. Why didn't he come out and defend it or vacate it or put the ring?
Because the winner of the Battle Royal gets a shot at the ring, not the belt.
Yeah, but
is that what it is?
Yeah. But he's the guy But he's the guy that's holding the ring.
Right. So maybe the angle is maybe Bryan
Does
Danielson.
the ring come out and cut a promo on him? I mean, come on.
I think maybe Danielson comes back next week, costs him the match. He loses the ring to Ricky Starks, and then they set up and then Ricky Starks loses a title match, and then Bryan gets the pay-per-view title match.
That wouldn't be a bad angle.
Wait, when is the pay-per-view?
Wait, it says here the winner of the battle
Friday.
The winner of the battle royal will earn a match with AEW World Champion MJF. But that's not for the title.
That's what I thought.
That's not for the title,
Wait,
Billy.
just a match?
It doesn't say a title shot. It says a match.
Wait a minute. So this isn't even a title match?
They said the match. They said the winner gets a shot at the diamond ring. That's what they said a few times.
Starks is getting a shot at the diamond ring.
Yeah.
Didn't you just say title?
So wait a minute.
No, it's not. It's not for the title.
Okay, let me get this right. So MJF has the ring and the title.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Ricky Starks won the match for the ring, not the title.
Yeah. So maybe he'll win. Maybe he wins the ring, and then he gets a title match because he's got the ring, and maybe Danielson helps him to aid their angle.
That's our problem with AEW.
Right. Yeah.
Check this out. He
It
not only
be this
Joe
should not
has
be
info.
this confusing.
Right, Joe has info. What do you got, Joe?
Okay, so he won the shot for the diamond ring by the Battle Royal, but he also has a title shot because he won the World Championship Eliminator Tournament. He's got
that's
both.
right. He won the right. So he won both of these things?
So basically, what they're hoping is that you're a super nerd with no life and you remember all these details, or go out of your way to look for them in the different platforms. I don't have that time. If I was 10, maybe.
Well, look at the super nerds. When Lance Storm his tweet is on the thing, and he's explaining, like, he seems like he's like, why is, like, he's doing a rant, and he puts it on Twitter. It's like, why are Adam Page and Moxley so pissed off, like so angry at each other?
Right.
And like he's saying, like, and then Brady's going, well, because Moxley knocked him out, and he's. It's like, yeah, he knocked him out with the wrestling move, and he knocked the guy out. Like, that's what he was trying to do. And like, but why is there so much heat now? So it's like, I don't know. And then of course, all the AEW marks that watch all the shows are explaining to him, well, he did this, and I'm like, like, there's no way.
Here's my $1 million question for you: are you a fan of the Adam Page butterfly and fringe pants?
Me or Billy?
Yes, you.
No.
Okay.
No, bro, let me tell you something. I go, okay, right now in Vegas, okay?
I think that's hilarious, bro. He came out with some...
Let me tell you, I'll tell exactly the perfect, I'll give you a perfect story here. So at the South Point Casino right now is packed because Vegas has the National Rodeo Finals in town.
Right.
And it's unbelievable. Like, like you're in San Diego, Billy, you're in England, Joe, you're in Philly, right? Do you ever see anybody walking around dressed like a cowboy?
No.
Like wearing a cowboy hat, like, so, okay, you just don't see them. But when the rodeo comes to town, it's like this town is flooded with them. Everybody's got cowboy hats and the cowboy outfit on, the jeans and the big belt buckles of the cow and
butterfly jeans.
But the funny thing is that the girls dress kind of cowboyish too with the thing, but the girls dress like Adam Page.
Right.
The girl cowboys. And like the guy cowboy. That's about the best way I can describe it. If you go to South Point, it's like they're wearing, the girls are wearing Adam Page's clothes.
Butterfly jeans and the fringes.
Right. And, that's a perfect description.
Yeah.
Right.
The buckle bunnies.
Awesome.
Okay, so after the battle royal, after Ricky Starks wins, which everybody kind of knew he'd won. Ethan Page was doing some stuff with them at the end, and Matt Hardy, and I don't know, but just like we said, it was kind of silly. But after the match, MJF walks to the ring and told Starks he'd be with him in 1 second. He then addressed Bryan Danielson, said he heard he didn't want to show up tonight, and MJF thought it's because he was terrified of him. And MJF said if he were Danielson, he'd be terrified too, and said he would retain both his AEW championship and the Dynamite Diamond next week. MJF said this crowd seemed to like him, and he was really talented, but the truth is, in comparison to him, he's an absolute. He then called him a Rudy Poo candy ass since he's stolen everything else from that guy. Oh, he's talking about
The Rock.
Starks. No, he's addressing Starks.
Right.
He then called him a Rudy Poo candy ass since he's stolen everything else from that guy, and followed him up by calling him the Dollar Store Dwayne, and said his new name should be the Pebble. MJF then next week he would put Starks in his pocket, get into his brand new Porsche Taycan, and send him back to Billy Corgan's NWA so he can wrestle on YouTube where he belongs. MJF said he doesn't care if Starks is absolute because he's a generational talent. His reign of terror has just begun. AEW just trademarked that term, reign of terror, too, by the way. Ricky then brushed by MJF and nudged him with his shoulder and grabbed a microphone. He asked Max if he had any more shtick because the low-hanging fruit was running dry. He then said he smells like paint thinner and ass, his shoes are ugly, and his shirt was too small. Said he reeks of cheap clothes, cheap shoes, and cheap heat. Said he has the balls to say he's better than him. Ricky said MJF went to Greece for 3 months because he got out politicked by someone smarter than him. And Starks said MJF avoids responsibility because everything has been handed to him. Starks recalled living in his car and pointed to a woman in the crowd and told him he's responsible for keeping her in a car and putting a roof over her head. He continued and said he's been to YouTube and earned his way into AEW and didn't even name to beat his ass. Starks claimed he would smack the mole off MJF's neck and stomp him so he could take the responsibility of being AEW champion off his plate. When Starks finished his promo, they stood face to face, and MJ kicked him right in the balls and lined him up for a punch with the Dynamite Diamond, but Starks avoided and hit him with a spear. This was an excellent promo by both guys. I don't want to be critical because this was so good, but it's just you just look at what Ricky Starks has had to offer all this time, and the fact that he's been kind of underutilized, and that it's kind of a shame that they stuffed all this into one big giant 30 minutes, like 25-minute segment, like to promote this match. And this was like a magical, like this was a great promo battle back and forth between these guys. But, but like I said, this is the build. So here we are. But Ricky Starks was excellent on them. Ricky Starks' promo was better than MJF. The crowd was in it. What did you think, Konnan?
Yeah, I thought it was a great promo by MJF, very scathing. You can tell that they're shooting on each other, which makes it, they do inside stuff that, for the insiders, and then they do stuff for the mass audience. And then Ricky Starks is probably the first guy that's really gone toe-to-toe with MJF and probably had a better promo than him. It was a promo of his life. You could tell he'd been saving that for a while, and it was great. The people turned on MJF, which is good because he's a heel.
Yeah.
And they're into Starks. Really good. I didn't like the shot to the balls. It looked very weak. They should do it Mexican style, rear back, and just kick the and then sell the out of it. They could have gotten a lot more out of that. But other than that, this was a star-making segment for Ricky Starks because nobody's been able to get close, not even Punk, not anybody, to MJF on the mic. So we're going to see some good fireworks coming up, which I enjoy mic work.
Yeah, there was a little bit of doubt and stuff on Twitter and social media about, Ricky Starks is going to be the first challenger. What's that? And then tonight or last night, he definitely proved it to me that he's ready to step up,
Yeah, I'll still be honest. This was a good performance by Ricky Starks, which shows that, he's been underutilized, and this guy is another guy that should be getting multiple minutes on the mic instead of 1 minute in a backstage segment. He should be in the ring cutting promo, burying people like he just did with his good stuff, right? But the only thing with this is I'm still not buying him as a guy that's going to beat MJF. You know what I mean? Because MJF just the MJF run has been 2 years.
But the good thing is he'll get a good rub off of it.
Yes, perfect.
You can make a guy.
Yeah, it's a good. He'll definitely get a good rub. Backstage, Moxley asked if the audience thought last week got out of hand, and Moxley said he didn't. He appreciated the Hangman got right back on the horse and spoke with his fists. He said there's no Blackpool Microphone Club. This is combat in the sport of kings. He said this weekend the BCC would put the Jericho Appreciation Society in the rearview mirror for good, and if Hangman wanted another piece, he knew where to find him. This is a thing I don't like that the AEW does, right? You have a story with Hangman and Moxley, and Hangman's on the show this week.
Right.
I'm
he's not on the show most weeks.
Yeah, there's a mistake that I'm why is I don't know, whatever. All right, so next was a very uncomfortable match to watch, I hope, for everybody. Samoa Joe versus Darby Allin. All I got to tell people, this is 11 minutes. Go watch this because Darby decided I'm going to take all these crazy bumps on the floor, on the cement and stuff. And how many did he take, Konnan? 5? 5?
I don't know. He did a suicide dive on the floor, and bro.
I mean, everything was. The
coffin drop.
And you're watching it and going this. How is this kid going to last another?
What I liked about this is that Darby takes great bumps, and Joe can work any style, big guy, small guy, junior heavy, and the skateboard thing was sick.
Yes,
this was another good finish. I like this match.
Did power bombed him on the skateboard?
Yeah, on the trucks.
On the wheels.
Right.
I'm this kid is going to get like internal damage or something. This is good too because Joe's body language and vicious look on his face, he was enjoying hurting this kid, and you didn't know after these bumps if the kid was actually selling or if he was really hurt because the bumps they were very real. Yeah. Bumps on the cement and bumps on you're watching then to the point that they did this good. I don't know if they did this and he said he was okay, but the trainer came out during the match to check on him, the ringside doctor.
Right.
After one of these. And I don't know if that was planned or if it was okay, but the best thing that Joe did, all right, he's good to go. Okay, screw it. I'm going to give you this. It's I don't care if you're hurt. If you said okay, I'm going to get my on you because this was actually good television. The first 45 minutes of the show were very, very compelling television,
Right.
So, but I thought this was silly though. Darby got up after the match and told Joe he was still standing, and Joe walked up and gave him a headbutt and put him down. And then Joe picked up Darby. That was the thing. He delivered the muscle buster onto the truck, the muscle buster on the skateboard, right? And then he choked him out again. And then Wardlow hit the ring, and that's ran him away. And that was whatever. But it's I don't.
Another guy that's been underutilized, bro.
Yeah. But Wardlow didn't have anything to say. He just ran out Okay, so Kip Sabian and Orange Cassidy had some issues in the Battle Royal. So Tony Schiavone interviews the both of them. Tony asked Orange what this was about. Orange said Kip didn't want to waste any more time. If he wanted an All-Atlantic title match, he could have one on Rampage. Then Sabian said Orange waited for him to be attacked by Dustin Rhodes so he wouldn't be at his best. and he looked fine. It's like Orange said if he didn't want to fight him, then he should find somebody else. And Sabian agreed and walked away. So I'm assuming they're gonna. I'm assuming this is the story. Okay, this is what I'm assuming from what you've told me today, and what Billy said is the fact that Miro has been turning down a lot of creative. That they're going to bring Miro out just so he can do a job to Orange Cassidy here on Rampage Friday night. Would you agree with that?
I don't know, but this was your typical Rampage promo, meaningless.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't care, so it wasn't a good segment for me.
Right. You know what? Because the thing is, dude, it's like we watch like SmackDown, and they get so much mileage out of their backstage segments.
Right.
Like they progress stories, they tell stories. People like this character development, and like they get nothing of that on these backstage segments ever. So that's so fine. And here's another thing about this show. They finally said you didn't have any jobber guys on the show. You had some pretty high quality matchups. You had Darby against Joe, and here we have Claudio and Wheeler against Hager and Daniel Garcia, like the Blackpool Combat Club against the Jericho Appreciation Society. But this was what it was. These guys have wrestled each other. I mean, how many? It's funny this angle is still going on. How long ago did they have the War Games match? That was like 2 months ago, wasn't it? Or maybe even longer than that. These guys are still feuding with each other. But the Claudio Wheeler went over Jake Hager and Garcia. What did you think about this?
I just thought, well, that's who Daniel Garcia should be wrestling. Utah. Right. Right. Not like main stars. Claudio has no charisma. They keep putting him over. I don't think he's a big star. He's a great wrestler. I just don't see him as a big star. Now is Claudio supposed to go over Chris Jericho for the Ring of Honor?
Yeah, for the Ring of Honor Championship.
Yeah, it's on Saturday.
Okay, so there's a pay-per-view on Saturday, right?
Right.
Ring of Honor pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Now, if Claudio loses, he's supposed to join Chris Jericho's thing, right?
Yes.
Is he? Is that yeah?
Yeah, I don't like that. I
mean, with another person join our
right,
class.
right, exactly. That doesn't even fit in.
It's like I think somebody said it's like all that the factions do is try to recruit each other.
Right.
That's like right. So
right, and they thought Utah and Daniel were the next Garcia were the next big thing, and they aren't.
Right.
They did a Hurricanrana spot that looked really rough.
Right.
I wasn't a big fan of this match. I'm not into these guys.
Right.
Did you see the Ring of Honor card, Konnan?
I don't care.
Konnan will be happy to hear this because FTR and the Briscoes are wrestling again in a double dog collar match. And
that's going to
be. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
After the match, Tony Schiavone had an interview previously taped with Regal, and it was an explanation for his absence. Regal said he gave MJF what he wanted because he knows that everyone in the company will now be chasing him. He wanted to teach him to always be careful what you wish for. As for the Blackpool Combat Club, he had to teach them a final lesson that was always have eyes in the back of their heads, and Regal said it's been emotional, and he would be Blackpool Combat Club until he dies. Then they go back to the ring, and Moxley's in there with Yuta and Claudio. He said all he knows is the three people in the ring would give their lives for professional wrestling. He said he would make a statement on Rampage by challenging any wrestler in the world to find out where they fit on the food chain. Moxley then said that Yuta and Claudio would make a statement of final battle and put an end to the Jericho Appreciation Society and Sports Entertainment, and said professional wrestling is about to make a major statement. I don't like this booking of this. It's like last week Moxley is brawling with Paige. Paige isn't on the show. Then Friday on Rampage, he's going to open challenge again. This is like I said, they've a weird time telling stories.
Here we've been putting over how smart Regal is, right?
Right.
And you got to know Regal or MJF or Tony or Moxley had some sort of input. And this was the best explanation they could come up with. It's convoluted. It's insulting. Okay. And you're supposed to believe that Regal would cost Moxley the championship to make life more difficult for MJF, to teach Moxley a lesson that you need to have eyes in the back of your head. Well, yeah. Regal apparently didn't learn his own lesson because MJF punched him in the back of the head. Right. He should have been it was not right. They had a week to do this or more, and this is the best you've come up with. Moxley couldn't explain his way out of this. MJF couldn't explain his way out of it. Regal couldn't. This has been a hot mess, I think.
Right. So next we do a pre-tape. Okay, now let me talk. Okay, so here we have Tony Schiavone. We're going to get – I want some character development from Jamie Hayter, okay, because she's getting over and people, she's a champion now and stuff. So he's a pre-tape interview, and let's listen to what she talks about here, okay? And you tell me if this is character development. She took issue with not having one of these interviews before. Shivani mentioned there would be a match between Hikaru Shida and the Bunny on Rampage. And Hayter said she would fulfill her duty and be a fighting champion and said the winner of that match would get a title shot. And Tony reiterated that Hayter would be a fighting champion.
Right. The minute Hayter said whoever wins the match between Bunny and Shida, if they dare, I was like, gee, I can't wait.
All right. So then we go to the girls' match. Cargo, Layla Gray, and Velvet come out against Sky Blue, Madison Rayne, Kiera Hogan. Red Velvet throws. Well, no, Kiera Hogan. Okay, bro, she doesn't know how to throw a forearm. She was doing it like a hockey check. Like she was like going like this. Like not like like hitting her like throwing back like trying to hit her. She was like going like this. Like shoving her like in the chest with her forearm. And I was going, who trained these people? It's like, but of course this was awkward in spots. Thank God it wasn't 13 minutes, only 8 minutes, but 8 minutes seemed like it was like 15 minutes. But the heels went over. What'd you think of this?
Well, I saw Kira when she first got into Impact, and I thought she was a terrible worker, and she didn't have a real gimmick and didn't know how to talk. And I saw her turn into a really good worker who really got into her gimmick and really knew how to talk. And I just look at this and I just think, wow, Jade has more charisma, more swag, she has more than all these girls put together. This is just a nothing match with a big star and a bunch of satellites. Kira could be a star, but the other ones to me never will be. There was a botch between Velvet and Blue where it looked like Blue forgot what she was doing because she's very green, and you could tell these two went over their match before the show. It felt, looked very choreographed and rushed. And then the entire heat section took place during the break. This was not good for anybody, not even for Jade, bro. She's underutilized.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. For being a, smarky nerd who thinks he knows the terms, and can you tell me what a satellite is?
Well, if you're a star, what's a satellite?
Orbits around the star. Very good.
Yes.
Very good. Nice.
All right. So then they did this. They always do this. I don't know why they do this. So backstage, Tony Schiavone interviews Saraya. Did she get a word out of her mouth before Britt Baker walked up?
Bro, Britt Baker's so overexposed. She has to be in every segment about a woman or every show.
And did all the talking here.
Yeah, she's not entertaining, bro.
Yeah. She handed her a pair of tickets to the show.
Right.
And said she could watch from the front row, or they let her bury everybody and do all the talking and stuff. So whatever, this did nothing. Poor Saraya didn't even get a word and got punked, basically, So then they do the main event, and Caster and the Caster rap was pretty funny because he mentioned Herschel Walker and they mentioned top guys, and then they said they'd be bottoms tonight or something. But this was a good match. And like I said, bro, this Bowens kid is a very, very good worker, and I would just tell him, bro, just stop slapping the thighs. You do it way too much, and you don't do it. And some of them, like if you watch the Usos, they slap their thighs, but they don't slap. They do a short, they hide it. You know what I'm saying? It's like half the people on this show literally do this, like when they're slapping their thighs, and it's just too blatant, and it looks so silly. Like you're doing a bunch of good and everything, then you're kicking a guy and going like that, and like slapping your thigh in the middle of a fight. It's just, I don't know. I'm going to keep saying it every week until somebody decides they're going to stop doing it, right?
Let me just say, Billy, nothing but respect. That's my boy. Bro, he's a lot like Abrahantes and Stokely. He doesn't fit in with these guys with the backward hat and the pink and acting like the scissor.
Right, the scissorines. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
What's he really out there for? But I will, and he reminds me of, and I think Joe knows the name of the movie, the Steve Buscemi characters. Joe.
Yeah. Hello, fellow. How you doing, fellow kids?
Right. Who was that guy?
The movie. I don't know what the movie was, but I mean, everyone recognizes that meme. I'll look it up.
Right. Where he's he's got a skateboard and he's like in high school. The older guy.
It was on the 30 Rock TV show.
Right. Well, he just reminds me of that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Anyways, this was a good match. FTR proved they can have a good match with anybody. Bowens has improved so much in the ring. Really good worker. Caster can be led to a really good match. I like the finish of this match also.
Did you really?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Bro, why are they beating FTR?
Because the other guys are the champions and they're pushing them. I would have liked to see FTR get the titles, but these are the hot guys right now, homegrown. You know, the new Orange Cassidy or Darby Allin.
Here's what their
catchphrase is over.
Here's what FTR is missing. Okay, is that they're the type. They're so good. Okay, that I want to see them do a weekly episodic storyline with the tag team.
Right.
Bro, they do 1 week builds with these guys. A minute promo in the back. They have a match. After the match, the claim go over. They go backstage. Austin Gunn and Colton Gunn appear on the screen and laid out a challenge for FTR for the Briscoes, who will be in a dog collar match. Like, that's the build. There was literally they didn't even get to cut the promo. The Gunn brothers cut the promo and showed hey, you're going to wrestle the Briscoes. That's the build for the pay per view this weekend. Like they got a 1 minute. It wasn't even a minute. This is 30 seconds.
What is the pay-per-view? You were going to say, Joe.
Oh, yeah. No, I just wanted to say that there was that double dog collar match. I thought you'd be happy to hear that.
Could I hear the rest of it?
You like the match
right.
before. Yeah, I'm going to get
I think here's the problem. Because they're good workers, and they know they're good workers, they know they're good workers, I think they're kind of just satisfied with just having these matches and everybody enjoying their work. Because it doesn't seem like there's any build for any of the things that they do, and they're the type of team that should be building a weekly thing with them every year. You know, so
last week he was in a one-on-one match, and the week before,
against Bryan Danielson. Well,
right.
And so he had a one-on-one match against Bryan Danielson. This week you got a title match against the Acclaimed.
I don't know.
And then this weekend you're wrestling the Briscoe brothers, and there wasn't a build for any of them. It's it's just random. They're doing just random matches when they should be doing episodic weekly television. Yep. I wonder how long they're going to stay in this company, because they're looking at New York and they're looking at the Usos. Dude, some of these, bro, when you even your underneath teams in New York get 3 or 4 weeks of TV if you're going to be in a angle with somebody. Yeah, right. So it's I don't know.
So the card,
but they're good.
Go ahead, Disco.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say that they're good. Like I said, they're tremendously underutilized.
Right.
So
like most of the people there.
Right. Yeah.
So the card is as we said, FTR versus the Briscoes, double dog collar for the Ring of Honor tag titles. You got the Ring of Honor 6-man tag titles, Dalton Castle and the Boys versus the Embassy, Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony.
The who?
The Embassy, which is Brian Cage, Bishop Khan, and Toa Leona.
Who?
Yeah, I don't know who the Gates of Agony.
What are they called? The Gates of Agony?
The Gates of Agony. Managed by Prince Nana. So,
Prince, you're not your grandma. There should be Miss Grandma Nana. Would be
tag team match: Swerve in Our Glory versus Shane Taylor Promotions, which is Shane Taylor and J.D. Griffey.
Who?
Ring of Honor TV title match: Samoa Joe versus Juice Robinson. Ring of Honor.
Wait a second. Yeah. Wait, time out. I thought Joe was in an angle with Wardlow.
Well, not in Ring.
Oh, but he's the but he's got the Ring of Honor title too. So he's
yeah.
Bro, what do you think about that? It's like if you watch AEW every week, and all of a sudden
hard to follow.
You're the big. He's in an angle with Wardlow. And he's on a pay-per-view. Oh, is he wrestling Ward? No, he's wrestling Juice Robinson.
Juice Robinson.
Right.
You're like, okay.
I was reading that Tony said on his Ring of Honor, conference call or media call, whatever.
Let's hear what he said.
That after December, Ring of Honor is going to be much less featured on AEW because he's implying that they're going to have their deal for Ring of Honor, whatever's coming with that.
Just make a Rampage. I have no idea why they don't just put Rampage, make it Ring of Honor, because nobody watches it.
No.
No,
they had a bad rating last week.
That's true.
Ring of Honor women's title: Mercedes Martinez versus Athena. Pure Wrestling rules match for the Pure title: Daniel Garcia versus Wheeler Yuta.
Oh no. That's the thing where they do the slappy spots, right? Because you're not allowed to punch the guy and stuff, everything.
Yeah, no.
So they slap each other, and they said, you go out, Konnan. You're not allowed to throw a punch,
right.
You're allowed to throw 2-3 punches. If you throw it 4, you get disqualified. It's weird rules.
Yeah.
But instead, they do the things where they're slapping each other.
Here's the rules.
Back and forth 40 times.
I know you'll love to hear this. Here's the rules. It is a singles match where each wrestler is allowed only 3 rope breaks. Once they're all used up, the wrestler cannot use the ropes to escape pins or submissions. Closed fists are illegal, and using them will cause the wrestler to be penalized a rope break. So you'll lose one of your 3 rope breaks. And once you run out of rope breaks, if you use a punch again, you can be disqualified. and the match has to be won by pinfall or submission. So there you go.
What a way to overproduce a match, make it more difficult. It's just like
no rope breaks.
Well,
and then
let
the
me tell you what they
main
did, 'cause
event,
Jay-
of course, is Jericho versus Claudio. Claudio has to join the Jericho Appreciation Society if he doesn't win the Ring of Honor belt from Jericho.
So now, when Jay Lethal, I'd spoken with Jay Lethal because they came up with these Ring of Honor, the pure rules, right? They came up with this during the pandemic, okay, and they brought the show back, and there was a kind of a different show because they were doing long packages for the guys before the match and stuff. And like when he explained the rules to me, I said that's kind of interesting. Like that, I'm kind of digging that because now you can come up with creative ways to cheat, right? But bro, then you get all these guys that are doing this stuff. They don't know how to cheat. It's like you got wrestlers that don't have ever worked like heel or baby or know how like the dynamic and everything. So instead, just escape the rules. They're out there just slapping each other because you can't punch. that's how they decided to we're gonna do this match is just slap each other in the face about 30 times each, instead of trying to figure a clever way to get a good punch on you, a sucker punch and stuff. So whatever. But that's been our AEW review.